Okay, let's try with this. Maybe? Is desktop audio working? There it goes. OBS has done some changes and it's very weird. Okay, this is Scorpio Corvus, a tactician using Siege Cascade. It is based off of a build that I just found randomly on PoE Ninja. PoE 2 Ninja. Let's move over here first. I have all resist figured out. That's figured. The armor and evasion are trash because armor and evasion are still trash in the game. So I went with energy shield on most of my gear. The concept is you shoot your siege cascade up, it lands, it pins, and then you use your deepest tower to treat everybody as low life, just like their previous build, which is unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Persistent buffs have 50% less reservation, and then spirit. So I have like 217 spirit, and I have every single buff in the world on me. But pinned enemies can't perform actions, and I believe there's a somewhere in this tree there's a node that says, all right, pinned enemies take more damage. But the low life nodes, some fire damage, and damage penetrates fire resistance. And damage hits against burning enemies. It also helps trigger some skills over there. Since I was already down here and really close to it, it's like, well, let's just take Jack of all trades. I'm not really being a huge stat stacker, but it was just an extra, what's that? 40% damage. I also took increased fire damage because I have Herald of Ash on me. Projectile damage, low life. And then I got lucky and found this one just in Sanctum. Because you also want, not only do you want presence area effect, you also want skill duration so you can maintain the buff. Skill duration, stun, and using the time loss and elemental damage with attacks. I'm explaining this very well. I bought this one. It was kind of cheap compared to everything else in this build, because this build is not cheap. But skill effect duration, and then I think this is helping. I couldn't tell you. I don't really. It would probably help better if I had more armor, but I'm not going to do that. And I anointed this. H. So as you can see, it's cast on ignite, and then we're casting profane ritual, spark, and flame wall. And then siege cascade is magnified effect. So what that does is you trigger shard scavenger, which means you can just spam your siege cascade attack, and then you have charge infusion, which will give you skill speed with a frenzy charge and crit hit chance with a power charge. Trinity is for more fire damage. Combat frenzy is because I wanted a better way to get frenzy charges, and you're pinning an enemy, so that works. Artillery barista. Give me coffee. It's can do damage. I've seen in the build I copied, where he had some like alternate weapon skill set to here, for totem damage nodes, and all like that. But I'm really just treating it like Font of Rage, putting fire exposure, extra pin build up, and Font of Mana, because I was having mana problems. I think Flame Wall and Spark you need so that you can trigger Elemental Discharge, but Flame Wall is the best option to maintain the ignite because it's, while it doesn't consume the ignite, um, the Flame Wall acts as it is igniting anything around it, and it keeps applying it. So it's a better way to keep up the buff from Scavenger Plate. The build I found is from a Korean guy named Yangji Rosam, which stands for, translates to brisket. Very funny. His damage looks like it might be better than mine, but only because he has more Morior Invictus, Headhunter, and Malagaro's Virtuosity, which I can't afford because those are 20 div each, 25 div each. Put that back up there. What can the build do? It can do tier 1 Breach, tier 1 Delirium, tier 2. No, I did tier 1 Ritual. Oh, I can also do tier 2 Expedition with it. Getting into maps, I didn't have to downgrade this at all, or didn't have to downgrade this, and I have not done Arbiter because Arbiter is just not fun for any build that cannot instantly teleport around. Sanctum is pretty easy with this character. Where did it go? There. I managed to do a no-hit run and kill, or no-hit. I got both of these to drop. It's kind of cool. I don't know how you'd actually use it because you don't have gems anymore, but I have them. Let's go see if I can't do. I also figured out how to do bookmarks. Very, very cool. The video quality is going to go down. I had to go back to the older build because the motherboard needs to be armored. Now, what I noticed is that if they're running up at you, there's not much you can do. Also, proximal tangibility sucks big things and is incredibly annoying and awful because you would think having a lot of presence would combat proximal tangibility. Where is she? But yeah, so they get pinned, can't do anything, and then you blow them up for extra damage. That's just like hurt fire. So where's our presence node? No. Oh, I can get that from Chase. Get that from here, can't I? Yeah. So presence, you would think, like, it's huge, massive, big aura presence. The mob still had to be within 3 meters of you to trigger the proximity tangibility to come off. That feels bad. That ability already feels bad, you know. I feel like if you're going to, I don't know, what is it, raw rules as written, you should at least let it presence affect proximal tangibility if it's going to, you know, have other interactions like that. I don't know, make it like a hidden interaction or something. It would just be better. Same goes for turrets. The ballista does not last very long, and you have like 0 range. Like, you have to be really close to trigger, so you can't really run around with it. If somebody wants to buy something from me. So we're not gonna grab that. Enjoy. Fuck you. There, I gotta make sure the age rating stays down. Pop. Did that resume correctly? It did. Okay. I need to OBS changed something. Yeah, I need to figure out how to... Yeah, so look at that. I'm standing practically on top of them, and I have presence area, whatever the term is, that covers like half the screen. And it's not coming off. Incredibly annoying. So, as you can see, I'm just gonna trigger this script. You get scavenge plating. You can just sit here, just kind of, meander across the map, just spamming your attacks. It feels very good. Like, unfortunately, like the next weapon upgrade is gonna take 50 div, and I'm not good enough to craft this stuff yet. So it's a stupidly expensive build. I think the only reason this is working at all is because I have a decent crossbow that can do a fair decent bit of damage. And the crossbow itself is like 600 physical DPS, and the next upgrade is like an 800 DPS crossbow, and those were 50 div. I was kind of hoping to be able to sell that Grand Spectrum and Sandstorm Visage to help fund it, but I'm kind of done with this character. I'm going to go play something else now. I think the only thing really holding this build back is not having a way to generate endurance charges. If I could getting that extra damage reduction from the endurance charges would be crazy. It would just be so useful. Screw it. I'll grab it. That's a nice change. But you can't. There's no way to do it. If somebody knows how to do it, friggin' tell me, because the only way I've seen of how to actually get a that one, yeah. The only way I've seen to actually get endurance charges is to stun a rare enemy. That's it. Unless there's some a unique that can do it. I don't know, but if there was a better way of actually getting endurance charges, this build would be like 100% the next one. But currently, only frenzy and power charges are reliable, which is, I mean, fine. I can't quite go full crit on this build because I don't have those the Malagoro gloves. I did change some things from the build I copied just because of that. I think if the next step for the build would be to go full crit. Also, I don't think, realistically, presence is not as functional as it should be right now. Yes, you can one tap mobs, or not one tap, you can treat mobs that are slightly further away from you as being low life, but the mobs just run up on you anyways. Sometimes they run up so fast that your Siege Cascade doesn't have time to come down and hit them before they get to you. So they're going to be in range of you anyways. It was the same issue I was running into with the melee bleed rake. Amazon, yeah. There was no reason to get more presence because by the time you were hitting the damn things, they'd be in your lap saying hello. And again, proximal tangibility doesn't do crap. It's just awful. Garbage. They all have it. I'm gonna submit that for feature request because it feels like if presence is gonna affect everything else and it's gonna be hard to build and stack, it should affect proximal tangibility. Oh, there's a rare up there. to note, you can't, since these missiles target and lock on to the enemy, you can't like pre-place it. There has to be something on the screen with which for it to hit, and proximal tangibility means you can't click on them, and that means that you can't like start throwing attacks down for them to walk into. God damn, they're all over the place. You can't line up hit attacks for them to walk into and hit. There has to be something there for you to be able to click on. Did I manage to go the right way? I don't think I did. What's going on? I think I was stuck on a piece of geometry. No, I didn't go the right way. I had tried to. I thought like my single target might have been bad for a little bit, so I was trying to use explosive shot. I don't know what the hell they did to it, but it's not working as well as it used to. I think they really want you to chain grenades with it at the same time, and that's grenade gameplay is trash. The only bosses I've been having trouble with this build would be like the Forge boss, the big golem. Impossible. I don't know what it is. You would have to sit there with auto attack and then just spend forever dodging his attack, the platform, dodging around the platform. Siege Cascade just doesn't know what to do with a boss that is outside of the arena like that. And I think the fact that there's nowhere for the explosion to hit might be the actual real problem, now that I think about it, because there's no... Most of the damage is done by the explosion after the thing lands. Inventory's fine. Checkpoint. So there's nowhere for the explosion to explode from? Words? Headache. You're not gonna do any damage, so you need to have a platform to be able. You need ground with which to hit somebody. Same thing with a grenade build that I tried earlier. No ground means nowhere for the grenades to explode. Skills. And he's pinned. So I want Wall of Fire and Spark, because why not? Extra damage. Yeah, the build's fine. It's just very expensive. It got better once I started like letting the build do what it wants to do, which is do this. But yeah, that's that. I'll link both. I should have the PoB should be up, and I'll link Young Jirosum's build.